and welcome to the ryoknits podcast. My name is Rhiannon. I am a knitter and knitting instructor living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my wife and cat. Thank you for being here. It is always wonderful to know that people are interested in what I'm making, and I'm excited to share with you some of that. This channel is dedicated to knitting. I do sometimes talk about books and other things. I do want to start this episode by wishing everyone a happy Lunar New Year if you celebrate that, and also acknowledging that there was some really bad news this morning. I woke up to, some really just devastating news of another tragedy in our country, very preventable in my opinion, and it appears to be directed at the Asian American community. And so my hope is that you are feeling safe wherever you are. And I want to encourage everybody, if you can today, tell your Asian friends that you love them, support an Asian artist, comment or post something positive about an Asian artist or about, the contributions that Asian Americans make to our country. And I say our country, meaning the United States where I live, but I mean, probably your country too, if you live somewhere else. And I would encourage you all to make sure that in conversations about, events where the media isn't clearly or isn't making it explicit that anti-Asian hate is a broader problem than a single incident, I want you to just make sure that those conversations don't lose that thread. And, if you are reaching out to your Asian American or, Asian Canadian, whatever, if you're reaching out to your friends to tell them that you love them, please don't ask them to have a conversation, just offer them your love and your support. I feel like waking up to that kind of news, it just made me feel like I needed to remind us all that there are things we can do to make the world less difficult for each other. So thank you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I want to jump right in and talk about the Knit Blue 2022 Cal Prize and winner. So to move things to a more positive note, I ran a Cal last year, and all it was knit something blue, and it really was inspired by my own desire to just knit more blue things because it is my favorite color. It is something I always choose to wear. And for whatever reason, I had got into this rut, I guess, of not only not making enough blue things, but I would go to a yarn store and be like, well, blue's the obvious choice. What other color can I pick? And I feel like it's not a bad thing if you make, 10 sweaters in the same color or whatever. If it's something you love, you should just embrace that. And I don't know, I tried to push myself to consciously choose my favorite color more last year, and maybe that doesn't make sense to people who are of course I choose my favorite color, but it was just something that I noticed was happening, and I wanted to remedy that, and so I challenged everyone to just knit something blue and said, if you knit something blue and you post with the hashtag on Instagram, then, I'll pick a winner and you'll get a prize. The winner will get a prize. So the winner is Shanna Corin. And let me show you what Shanna Corin has won. And maybe I did that backwards, but whatever. So first, there's this little zipper pouch that I made. So this is made by yours truly. This is a cotton linen, I think it's a cotton linen canvas back here, but it's very soft. It's not, this isn't a very stiff, rigid thing. It is fully lined with a cute little sparkly, rainbowy fabric. I'm gonna take out what's inside of there. So, you can see it is fully lined with this cute little pinky purple rainbow thing. It's quilted on the front with just stripes of different colors, and it has a pink zipper. So I made this a while ago. I got really into making these, and so yeah, I'm including that. Also, I don't know why, I just assumed somebody would like pink and purple. I don't know. You can totally regift these. I'm a big believer in giving the kind of gifts that can be regifted, because everyone has had an experience where they had to buy a gift at the last minute and it's stressful. And so I try to give away things that, aren't just yarn. So these are actually little crocheted earrings that I got from a local maker here. They are really cute. I mean, it is just a little crocheted circle. It's super simple, but they're really cute and lightweight. So, I like dangly earrings, but I don't like a lot of weight on my earlobes. So these are great. And I'm just throwing in her business card. This is from Jamila Riley, or J. Riley. She's a Milwaukee-based crochet designer, and she does all kinds of cool little earrings and stuff. So this is just something that I'm throwing in. It came with a sticker. You get that sticker. I'm also including these honeycomb stitch markers from Twig and Horn. They are laser cut wood. So you take the sticker off the back of here and you just like pop them out. And I find that having small nondescript stitch markers, like lots of them, is great for patterns where you have a chart or a texture motif and you have to repeat, say that chart 15 times or something. They don't compete with the beginning of the round marker because they're just so plain. And so I'm including these. And then this, it looks like deodorant, but it is not. This is also a Milwaukee-based company called Nourish. This is a hand balm. It's intensive healing balm. So you would, roll it up and use it just like a deodorant, but apply it, to your hand. And I find that this is a really good. I've been using more like lotion bars and things like that lately because it is cold and dry here, and just having that extra intense moisture, it's like you don't have to reapply it every time you wash your hands. Like, you will still have a little bit of moisture in your skin. Okay, and then this is a little tiny, very simple unlined project bag that I'm just throwing in because it was one of those things that, again, I made way too many of these, and everyone needs a little tiny sock project bag or could gift it to another knitter. Moving along, I'm also going to give you this candle from a Milwaukee-based company. This is called Sunday Brunch. It smells really good. A yarn mug from a Portland-based artist. And this was something that someone gave to me, and I just haven't used it. So even though it's not in the box, it is new. I have so many mugs too, and anyway. Okay, finally, the yarn. That's what the prize that everyone wants, right? So there will be 5 mini skeins of sock yarn, which is I was experimenting with indigo dyeing a while ago, and I did 3 sets of these. So I gave one away already. I'm keeping one for myself, and then this is the other one that's a prize. So I attempted to do a gradient with indigo, and it's a very subtle gradient, but it's it's just really pretty, and it's sock yarn, and they're mini skeins, so you could combine 2 of them. You could mix them with other yarns, and then I'm also giving you this yarn that I have not found a purpose for, but it is beautiful, and it is really just really cool looking. So this is Unique Yarns. It's a worsted weight yarn. It is 100% extra fine superwash merino, and it's got all these glorious colors in it. I actually bought this for a project I was going to make for a friend, and then they ended up choosing kind of different colors, and so that was what I had it in mind for. So I had caked it up, and then I put it in a Ziploc bag and just like didn't use it. So I'm gifting you yarn from my stash and other prizes and goodies that I've picked up along the way. I'm going to throw in some, you know, other like treats that you can eat, but thank you for participating. And you know, it's really fun for me to just like give gifts, random gifts to strangers. I think there's something really, I don't know, delightful about that, because it takes you don't know who's going to get it, so you have to plan for something that any knitter could use. And then you also don't know like what the what the knitter's color preferences are, so there's a bit of guesswork. But it's, you know, it's different than, I feel like a lot of gift giving feels like it happens at the same time, it's the same group of people, and there's something about like the randomness of this that I really enjoy. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who participated. Okay, moving right along, let's talk about my works in progress, because I don't have any finished objects this time around. My goal right now is to focus more intensely on the projects I'm working on. And right now they happen to all be larger objects. So 2 garments and a shawl, which is arguably a garment. Everything's a garment if you believe, right? But you know what I mean? Like 1,000+ yards of yarn projects. So the first one is the drawing sweater. I am working on this in the hopes of completing this sample and putting it in a yarn shop where I'm going to teach a class on this. The class is on pause right now, I'll be honest, because as I'm knitting the sample, I'm rethinking how I want to approach the first few sessions with students, and fortunately for me, people are generous. So this is the beginning of the yoke. So this pattern it starts out with the contrast color, and you have a design that looks like flowers just kind of fluttering down. You can see more of the flower motif on the back because it's longer. There's short row shaping, and you know, I'm past the really difficult part and onto the just kind of you gotta pay attention part. So this design is really great. The designer just released a 3rd size for it, but because of the nature of, you know, the irregularity of the design, it's really hard for it to be graded, you know, in sort of even increments of sizes. So I think she's having to like invent a flower to stick between 2 flowers, and then rather than going up in an increment of say 4 inches, maybe you're going up in an increment of 6 or something like that. But it is just a really cool pattern, and I think it's really easy to adjust it because there's nothing, I mean, it's a crew neck raglan, so you're not going to adjust the actual stitch counts or anything like that. What you would adjust is your gauge, your yarn, your needle size, that kind of thing. So I'm actually knitting this at a looser gauge with worsted weight yarn to get a size that's in between the sizes given. I suspect it will come out more like the what is now the middle size because of those adjustments, but I'm using the smallest size stitch counts, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's unblocked right now, so it looks a little wonky, but I think you get the picture. And I am using, like I said, a worsted weight yarn. So this is Blue Sky Fibers Woolstok, which I hadn't used in a really long time. I did hat with Woolstok a long time ago, and I feel like I did something else that I gifted, and I can't remember what, but my gosh, this yarn is really soft. It's a really beautiful, kind of a loose ply. It's soft and it's got just the tiniest bit of halo, like fuzz to it. So it's just a really beautiful, smooth, soft, nice yarn. And, you know, Blue Sky Fibers is my kind of yarn brand, I guess, because they're using natural fibers. They have beautiful kind of heathery tonal colors. It's not highly variegated or highly speckled, or like the colors themselves are really soothing to look at. They're very harmonious, and they're you know, it's basically solid colors, but just done with like a richness and a depth that's really nice. So I'm really loving working on this, and I'm very excited to you know, to offer this as something, you know, that I will teach. So the next project I am working on is a shawl called Nix, and this is by Natasha Hornby, aka Moonstruck Knits. I stopped in the middle of the row, which I almost never do. So let's see if I can just slip the stitches over and then show you more, because like, what was I thinking? Maybe I'll just tell you about it while I'm doing this. So I'm knitting this with Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight, which is a really nice Shetland wool. It is fingering weight. It can you know, it can pass as sport weight in, you know, depending on the pattern, because it does bloom when you wash it. So, you know, you wash and block it, and if you're not familiar with the term blooming, that's when a yarn kind of puffs up and settles into place, and some of the looser fibers, because it's woolen spun, meaning that the fibers are not combed into the same direction, they're kind of going every which way, higgledy-piggledy, you know, and then when you wash it, they sort of fluff up. So you can think of it of like if you fluff a pillow, you know, it looks different than before when you just had mashed it down with your head. So it's going to fill in some of the, you know, it's very see-through, right? Like you can see my face through here, but it's going to fill in a bit. And it's also a shawl, so I feel like having a kind of loose gauge creates a drapiness. You know, whereas if you were doing a sweater, you might want this at a slightly tighter gauge. Then again, you might not. So this shawl starts with a garter tab cast on, which means you're knitting kind of a little strip of, you know, 3 stitch wide fabric, and then you're picking up along the 2 long sides, or maybe it was along the 2 short sides. No, I can't remember. But basically, you know, you pick up along 3 sides and you increase as you knit outward. So every row is, you know, every other row is longer. Yeah, and so when I block this is actually going to be a straight line here, flat. But here it is so far. It's got this mosaic knit stripe detail. This part is in, I think it's in broken rib, and then this is in half fisherman's rib here. So you're doing like texture and increases, but it's not, you know, the pattern description is it's not too crazy complicated, and I think that's spot on, because you're doing, you know, the kind of stitch patterns that are very easy to memorize and just, you know, just repeat. It's ribbing on one row and then, you know, just knitting on the other or something like that. And it just is creating like different, like density of fabric, I guess, levels of squish, levels of drape. So it's really fun. It's really, really fun. I feel like if you like things, you can't just knit like endless stockinette because it's boring to you, I would recommend this shawl, because there is just like a little bit of mosaic color work and a little bit of texture and nothing too hard, right? And if you made a mistake, I feel like it would be very easy to like fudge it and fix it in the next row or whatever. Like if you forget an increase, no one's gonna know. Do it in the next row. So that's it so far. Yeah, it's going to be in the pretty much the same colors that the designer sample is in, but I'm using a different brand. So this is Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight, as I mentioned. I believe the gray is called like medium gray. The black is actually a charcoal color, which is a, you know, a black with kind of gray flecks. And then I'm using, for the other contrast color, there's going to be this sort of like ribbon motif. I'm using the color Maroon. All of these color names are sometimes given, sometimes not when you're looking at Jamieson and Smith. Sometimes it's just a number. So just something to be aware of. But truly, I think any kind of red, black, gray combo will get you there, you know. So that's my other, I should show you the, I guess, show you the yarns together. Think it through, Rhiannon. So, well, that's not the right one. So initially I had considered using this, which is the leftovers from my wool and honey, but this, although it looks like the perfect red on camera, it actually reads super pink in person and in daylight. And so instead of that one, I'm going with this one, which is Maroon, and it just, you can see it's got more of like a cinnamon kind of vibe, like a warmer red, and I think it's gonna pop really nicely against those. I'm not a warm tones kind of person, but this I think still is cool enough that I like it. So yeah, I can tell you this one is number 9113, Maroon. So yeah, that's my color combo for the NYX shawl. Nothing super innovative color-wise, but this shawl, when I first saw it, I was like, those exact colors. Why mess with perfection? Finally, the whip I am making the most progress on is the Woodlands shawl by Tif Neilan. Woodlands sweater, pullover. I'm knitting it with this Rosa Pomar Vovo. I love this tattooed grandma. It's really cool. Yeah, she's got like some tattoos that I'm thinking like, these are actually pretty good. So there's a sheep. There's, let's see, she's got a sheep. She's got like a coffee and a heart. I mean, all the things I enjoy. So here is the sweater so far. Now this is a drop shoulder sweater. So I will be picking up along here and knitting the sleeves from there. And when it's worn, this will sort of, you know, it's a drop shoulder. So that means that this will sort of wrap around the shoulder. This is not for me, this is for my spouse. So it's not in my size. And it has this cool like pearl or reverse stockinette stitch motif, just like a simple like stripe motif with some texture. And then you repeat that same motif at the bottom. So I'm knitting down, down, down. So I'm just knitting in the round a lot on this, but I find that it's really awesome to have, you know, when you're working on a project that is, you know, intense color work or something, I think having a second project that's just stockinette, especially stockinette in the round, is really nice. And this is really awesome for like social knitting. You know, if you participate in some kind of knitting group or something, it's great to have something where you're just, you know, it's simple. Something I've learned as I go on in my knitting journey is to knit something complicated and something simple in tandem, so that depending on your mood and your sort of how much attention span you have that day, you can swap between projects. So that is pretty much it. I have started swatching for a Lento sweater. I left my swatch upstairs. Probably not even worth showing you, but Amy Palco and Rebecca Clow, who are other YouTubers, both from Scotland, both lovely people. I highly recommend watching their podcasts. They are co-hosting a Lento Cal, and Lento is a very simple raglan pullover, solid color, but it's like fingering and mohair, and it's knit at a very loose gauge. I started swatching for it because I frogged my marble mount pullover from last year. I just did not like the fit of it. I didn't really like the way that the design fit. I don't know. There were just some things about it that I was like, yeah, you know, it's just not for me. So I frogged it, and I'm thinking about knitting a Lento with that because I have a lot of mohair that I've just collected over time, and what I want to do is stripe like you know, different shades of mohair, and I've never made myself a striped sweater, and I feel like if it was just different blue stripes, I would like it. But I'm really skeptical about knitting at that loose of a gauge. So let me know what you think, if it's worth doing, because I do really like that this pullover is very simple, could showcase really beautiful yarn, and also, you know, seems like a good 3/4 sleeve kind of in between season. Yeah, it would be a little bit more, you know, shiny and delicate because of the loose gauge, I guess. And so it wouldn't be like this one that I wear all the time, everywhere. I could wear this on a hike. I could, you know, I could do whatever. It's a little more, I don't know, upscale seeming, but like also very simple. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. Let me know if you've knit something at that loose of a gauge. Tell me what you think. The last thing I want to talk about is just that I've been cleaning up Ravelry. My Ravelry account got really, I don't know, kind of messy over time, and I've decided to sort of clean it up, you know, like just get it in shape. And I had mentioned this before, that this is something I've been wanting to do and that I've been slowly kind of working on. So what I've done now is I went and I cleaned up all my favorites, and I put them all into bundles, and I created more categories. So if you're not familiar with the bundling, you can create a bundle that's like cardigans or pullovers or shawls. And then when you see a pattern and it's your favorite, you know, you're like, oh, I want to add this to my favorite so I remember it later. You can then categorize it in a bundle. So I have a bundle of favorite sock patterns that I can choose from when I'm like, I want to cast on socks. I have favorite sweaters, cardigans, scarves, etc. So I went and I did that, and I got all of the patterns, and there were patterns that I favorited many years before and just didn't like anymore, or just didn't think I would knit anymore. I think when I was a new knitter, you know, my tastes were different, or I just like didn't, I mean, truthfully, when I was a new knitter, I didn't really imagine that I would ever be knitting sweaters or shawls or anything, and I like really did not understand the appeal of shawls for the longest time. And so I would favorite things that were like not things I would wear, like just something that I'm like, well, that's cool. And then, you know, as I've like gone through more, it's like, you know, with, if I'm going to knit a blanket now, it's got to be modular. There's no way I'm casting on 300 stitches and knitting a giant chunky thing that's going to weigh 50 pounds as I'm knitting it, you know? So cleaning that up. And then I went and I took everything out of my queue that I don't currently have the yarn for, because I want to make myself make the things that I have the yarn for. Like, I planned to make this project. I bought the yarn for this project. It should be my next cast on, right? Like, and I want my queue to not function as a more elite version of my favorites, which is kind of how it was functioning. And it really should be, this is what I'm going to knit next. And I can change the order of those things, but right now everything in my queue is something that I you know, I could cast it on today if I wanted to. I have you know, the yarn and the pattern and whatever. Or, you know, and I guess I don't count if I have the pattern because you can buy that online in like 5 minutes. It's like, you know, you don't have to go purchase that in person or like wait for shipping or whatever. So, yeah, I just, it feels good to know that that's cleaned up a little bit, and I want to like go through and continue to clean up and make sure that all my project pages have notes and pictures and things like that, and that I'm not leaving things as like a work in progress forever, which I've done, where it's like I finished this 2 years ago, it still says in progress because I just haven't updated it. So that's just something I'm doing right now, and I don't know, it feels good. That is everything I have to share today. This is a short episode and I'm happy for that. I am going to try to continue to, you know, maintain a habit of podcasting every 2 weeks and not rambling on forever when I do it. So I hope you are enjoying your knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye.